the best morning show ever hit the atmosphere. Let's be clear, there's plenty others that do it B.I.G. But keeping it a buck though, none to get you up though like GMG. With all the news and real point of views you can use. Light and heavy topics we peruse, even a laugh or two. What you talking? Good morning gang, be the instrument and take your friends and them can and all. Come on in, tune in. You ain't gonna want them in state, and even the trolls and haters that hate us, we end up being their favorite. Cause from 8 to 10, we get it in, believe that. I mean, from where else could you go when you a part of the show? Definitely GMG, cause when you show love, we show love back. First thing in the morning, we get you through, so after the yawning, wash up and wipe your face with your snacks and come on in, get comfy, but most importantly, in all caps, do, do. Do-ba-do-ba-do-do-do-do. Hey, good morning to ye. It's your boy, Big Phil Speak. And this is the Good Morning Gang Morning Show, brought to you by myself, huh? And that good GMG, Good Morning Gang. Listen, how y'all feeling on this wonderful Wednesday, Wet and Wild Wednesday, Wisdomful Wednesday, April 16th, 2025, huh? As for me, as for me, I'm blessed and highly favored, even more so humbly blessed because I was able to open my eyes, raise my arms, twiddle my little fingers, pause, no diddy, use my extremities, smile, talk to you on this beautiful day. I take it all in and humbly say thank you because I didn't have to be here. There's some folks that didn't make it to see the day. So what I'm gonna do is make today the best day ever, and I implore you to do the same thing. And while you at it, have at it. Make sure you plan, plot, strategize so that if you're so blessed to see mañana, tomorrow, that you make it an even better day than today. That part. Huh? What's going on, world? What's going on? Y'all see the title? Y'all see the title. Oh, this is America. This is America. The Carmelo Anthony case and controversy. Huh? This is gonna be one of them ones. This is gonna be one of them shows. So make sure you share this situation because it's about to go up. It's about to go in. We're gonna talk about it, huh? Y'all know what I like to say here at the Good Morning Gang Morning Show. I don't care if you just ah, getting up from work. Getting off for work. Man, out of work, looking for work. You looking over in the bed, across the kitchen, across the dining room table, in that shower, at your boo-boo bun thing or insignificant or significant other, or even your spouse, and you ready to put in work. The Good Morning Gang Morning Show gonna get you right and ready. That part, huh? Who we got in the building? Who we got in the building? Yeah. Listen, sexy sugar mama, she's in the building. Good morning to ye, Connie Baptiste. Good morning to ye. Peep skin, walk my brethren. Crack trick baby, crack baby. Sabrina C in the place to be. Ooh wee. Red face 707. Whoa, what's goody like the mom? Ree. What's goody like the mom? Whoa, what's goody? Rest stop is in the building. I see you. Polo Dolo riding solo in the building. 20 bandana. Whoa, what's goody like the mom? Huh? Sophia, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Ryan Johnson, what's goody like the Mizza? I'm chilling, bro. I'm chilling like I normally do about this time. Huh? Who else we got in this building. That's it for the moment, before, other people started tapping in. Mr. Rich, what's good? You know where we at, the YouTube. Mikey Miles, the YouTube. T-Bubs, come on over to the YouTube. The Berg is in the building. Yeah, me? What's goody like the mob, Grand Rising, good morning, and all those fizzings, as the people enter in the building, as the church doors of the Good Morning Gang Morning Show are opening up. Y'all come in, get your coffee, your tea, your tree, or whatever need be. Get all your snacks and libations and come sit down. Make sure you snap yourself into your chair because we about to take flight and go on a journey. Huh? And we gonna get through this thing called life. It's the Good Morning Gang Morning Show. Huh? Before I go any further, let me read this warning out loud for you really quick. You know what I'm talking about? For them weepers getting misconstrued. Huh? Warning, warning. Federal law, Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107 allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted material under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. Fair use allows quoting of copyrighted material in the creation of a new work for purposes including but not limited to criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. Fair use preserves the free flow of culture. That part, huh? Listen. We gonna get to it, and I'm gonna also put my band of my allegedly. Damien, yo, what you know no good. Good morning to ye. Excuse me, Mr. Rich Wilson. I see you in the building. Keisha Hall can have herself a ball if her assets are in order. She's in the building. GMG. Let me get this banner up here because we gonna go down a slippery slope. Pause. No diddy. We about to go there. You know what I'm saying? Da 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 da. Facebook is tapping in, YouTube is tapping in, Twitch is tapping in, X formerly known as Twitters is are tapping in. Ah, give it a couple more minutes to let some more people come on in through the door. But y'all know how we do it, the Good Morning Gang Morning Show. We about to go up your way, huh? Jola Akangbe, huh? He said, "Lock the doors." Ops, did I say that? Oops, did I say that? Not lock the doors. Oh, Lord. Never would have made it. We gonna leave that alone. We gonna leave that alone. Huh? What's goody like the mob, Jola? Bugged out for that one. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this story, this topic, this thing, the Carmelo Anthony story, case, and controversy. We gonna talk about it, huh? We definitely gonna talk about it. Huh? Make sure you do your boy a favor. Hit that thumbs up one time. More importantly, hit that subscribe button. More importantly, on top of that, uh, hit that notification bell, something like this. So you be in the know whenever the Good Morning Gang Morning Show drops. What? Whenever Feel the Love Friday drops. What? Or whenever I put anything on this good Big Phil Speaks channel. What? You'll be amongst the first to know, huh? But more importantly, after you hit the notification bell, make sure you click and hit all because sometimes YouTube still be trapping. And we got to make sure you are amongst the elite. Once you click subscribe, as a visitor, you welcome in. But when you click subscribe, you become a part of the GMG family. And when you hit that notification bell and you hit that all, you become amongst the elite, in a circle of the family, huh? And we all family era. You think it's a lie? What? It is what it is. That part. It's the Good Morning Gang Morning Show. Listen, how y'all feeling this morning? How y'all feeling? Yeah, did anybody else? Okay, all is well. For those that ain't been living under a rock, for those that have been on these internet streets, for those that have been peeking news outlets online and offline, for those of you all or us all that have been paying attention. There's a story. There is a captivating case. There is a heavy controversial situation going on that hails from out of Frisco, Texas. That's the Dallas-Fort Worth area for those that don't know. What is it, Phil? God damn it. Carmelo Anthony, a young 17-year-old student at Frisco Centennial High School, charged with murder one, from an altercation, STABBING, stabbing of another gentleman, from another high school by the name of Austin Metcalf during a fight, during a situation that within itself has caused controversy. The young brother has now been freed on bail in this case, which has further caused controversies that spread across geographical locations, that spread across racial lines, that spread across a number of variables that got a lot of people in uproar. Over the weekend, I've been seeing a lot of posts, a lot of videos, a lot of vitriol, a lot of hate, a lot of anger for the young Carmelo Anthony. We gonna get to that though. We gonna get to that. We gonna see if that's biased. We gonna see if they not giving us the same energy they gave for Kyle Rittenhouse, the same energy they gave for that Zimmerman Bama in the Trayvon Martin situation and countless other situations. We gonna see. We gonna talk about it, and I invite people from both sides of the track. Pause, no Diddy, to come on in and eventually when I put the link out to join in the conversation, because this one here is a deep one. This one here has a lot of variables and parts to it that could affect us all here and now and in the future, as far as legally and ethically and morally. Jazzy, I see you. Good morning to ye. Good morning to ye. Listen, huh? It's a long reading that I want to read. I'm asking y'all, you know, give me some mercy and grace and some patience, because I'm gonna have to read this thing. So for those that don't know what's going on, and for those that you know what I'm saying would like more insight into what's going on. Oh, ah, little nasally this morning, but it's all good. We gonna get through it. Here it is. Frisco track meet stabbing. The teen suspect released after bond reduced significantly and more conditions added. Carmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old. Did I do that? 17-year-old Frisco Centennial High School student faces a unaliving charge, a M1 charge, in the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf on April the 2nd at a University Interscholastic League (UIL) district track meet at Frisco Independent School District's Coiquindo Stadium. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. A Collin County judge reduced the bond for Carmelo Anthony, the teen charged with fatally stabbing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. He was later released from jail on Monday. Uh, McKinney, Texas, the area. Collin, Collin County judge on Monday significantly reduced track meet stabbing suspect Carmelo Anthony's bond from $1 million to $250,000 and also placed him under house arrest. Anthony, a 17-year-old. All right, I read that already. Judge Angela Tucker of the 199th District Court in Collin County made the ruling Monday morning to reduce Anthony's bond amount and also added several conditions should he post bond. Under his new bond conditions, Anthony, who appeared at the hearing in a yellow jumpsuit, would be required to wear an ankle monitor and ask permission to leave his home. It wasn't clear when or if Anthony would post bond under the new bond amount and conditions. If Anthony violates any conditions of his bond, he will have to return to jail. As we know now, he's out. Anthony's father testifies as a witness at the bond hearing on Monday, and about 10 people attended the hearing in support of Anthony. Metcalf's family was also present at the bond hearing, including his dad, grandfather, aunt, and mother, who wore a gold ribbon and a number 11 pin. Anthony was represented by Dallas defense attorney Mike Howard. At the hearing, Howard initially asked the court to reduce the bond amount to $150,000. After the hearing, Howard said the $250,000 bond imposed by the judge was fair in a press conference. Bond, as the judge said, is not supposed to be an instrument of oppression. It's supposed to keep people in jail. It's not supposed to keep people in jail. It's not supposed to punish, Howard said. It is to ensure that a person shows up to court, complies with all conditions, and is supposed to keep the community safe. This is a large and substantial bond, and I think the judge has rightly imposed reasonable conditions that will ensure both Carmelo's and the Anthony family's safety, but also the safety of the community. The judge said she considered several factors, including Anthony's age, lack of past criminal history, citizenship, and close ties to the community when setting the new bond amount. Collin County Assistant District Attorney Bill Werski argued that the Anthony family raised enough money through the crowdfunding platform GiveSendGo, where the family has raised about $415,000 to pay the $1 million bond. The judge has made her call, and we look forward to continuing the process and looking forward to reviewing all of the facts of the case that Frisco PD has come up with. Greg Willis, Collin County District Attorney, said, "We will go where the facts lead us." Anthony's father testified that the family currently does not have access to the money raised. He added that he is the sole provider for his family, and the notoriety surrounding the case is forcing his family to move to a new home. The moving costs and the cost of providing for his wife and 4 children prevent the family from being able to pay the $1 million bond, he said. When asked by the judge if he understood the terms of his bond, Anthony replied yes. This decision gives Carmelo and his family a much needed window of relief and a chance to prepare for the road ahead. The Next Generation Action Network, which is advocating for Anthony, said in a press release. Anthony had remained jailed since he was arrested after the incident, according to an arrest warrant affidavit. Police said Anthony admitted to stabbing Metcalf but claimed he was protecting himself. In his comments after Monday's bond hearing, Howard immediately brought up the angle of self-defense. Every Texan has the right to defend themselves when they reasonably fear for their life. Howard says self-defense is a protection that applies to every one of us. There are two sides to every story. Howard called Anthony an excellent student who was the captain of his track and football teams, who and was recently thinking about what college he planned to attend. This is a tragedy all the way around, Howard said, for both families. Rushing to judgment, trial by public perception, and trial by media is not how we ensure justice is done. We are confident that after a full investigation, the truth will come out. When asked why Anthony was armed at the track meet, Howard said, "That's not something we're prepared to go into. I know the police and the prosecution want to get it right and want to have a full and fair investigation," Howard said. I understand that's a big question, and it's going to be a big question, and it's something that we will find out. Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis also spoke after Monday's bond hearing and said his office will wait for Frisco police to file the case, and prosecutors will review it and present the case to a grand jury. The judge has made her call on reducing the bond, and we look forward to continuing the process and looking forward to reviewing all of the facts of the case uh, that Frisco PD has come up with. Willis said, "We will go where the facts lead us." Anthony was the captain of his school's football and track team, and worked 2 jobs at Foot Locker and HEB or Heb in Frisco. His father testified. After he was apprehended, police said Anthony admitted to the stabbing and claimed he was defending himself against Metcalf, according to an arrest affidavit. The $1 million bond first set for Anthony seemed high compared to other homicide cases. Daryl Washington, a high profile trial attorney based in Dallas, said ahead of the bond hearing. When you have a bail amount that comes out that high, it gives the community the thought that perhaps there is some evidence out there that suggests this person is guilty. Anthony retained a new defense attorney ahead of a scheduled court appearance, the Next Generation Action Network announced. Anthony was previously represented by attorneys Billy Clark and Kim T. Cole. It's fairly common to see change in attorneys and as trial develops, Washington said. The case has garnered national attention and has been embroiled in controversy since the stabbing occurred April 2nd. Frisco PD warned residents against falling for misinformation after accounts posing as the Frisco police chief spread false information online. The FBI is investigating the fake social media post, the agency confirmed. Well, this has definitely rocked our entire community, Willis said. It has struck a nerve in the community. It's hard for everybody to be level headed. It's our job to be level headed and to follow the truth wherever it leads. In a press conference, Howard acknowledged that the press coverage and public reaction about the case has been immense and asked that the temperature be allowed to come down. Threats and talk of race war and all kinds of insanity isn't good for obviously the Anthony family. It's not good for the Metcalf family. It's not good for the peace and safety of our community. Howard said, I would ask, and I know both sides would ask that the temperature on this be allowed to come down. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, no, I know Phil can't wait to take a deep breath after reading this. It's a lot. It's a lot. I could have read more. But I chose not to. Hey, who else is into the building, huh? Tiffany, I see you. I see you. Talk to me nice. I see you. Talk to us nice. Who else is in the building before I go forward? Music for God, too. Good morning, darling. Huh? Good morning. We're gonna get into this, Jola. You're right. But they didn't have this energy for Kyle Rittenhouse when he lied on stand, making himself cry his eyes out to get people to feel sorry for him. He didn't have to wear no ankle monitor. I get that. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. Before I go any further, let's view the footage. Let's view the footage from him being released, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all come on over to the YouTube.
We're up, we're up, we're up, we're up.
Carmelo, do you have anything that you'd like to say? Carmelo, anything that you'd like to say to the family of the victims? Why were you armed, sweetheart? Carmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me.
Carmelo, would you like to say?
Excuse me. Yeah, listen. The fact that that young man has been allowed to gain and garner a lower bail to come out to be home with his family while fighting this case has put a lot of people in an uproar. A lot of people. Hey, Simply Nay, I see you around the way. Hey, hey. Put a lot of people in an uproar, right? Some have talked about the Trayvon Martin Zimmerman case. Some have talked more recently about Kyle Rittenhouse and things he was afforded and his acts of unaliving not just one, but two people and injuring, I think, one other or a couple other people, whatever the case may be. Um, I've been watching on X and a few other places the disturbed mindsets of a lot of individuals. There's been a lot of talks of why did he have a knife in the first place? There's been talks of he was sitting in the wrong section or place. There's also been talks that the section he sat in wasn't the other team or the Metcalf twins team's place to sit. there were talks that they approached him. There has been rumors and allegations that there was some prior bullying going on. There's been, reports that that has been debunked, though, about the bullying, allegedly. But there's talks that these twins approached, um, Carmelo Anthony, and then an argument ensued, which, after that, a fight, tussle ensued in which the young man grabbed the blade from his, book bag and stabbed, uh, Austin Metcalf, which in turn, ended his life or whatever the case may be, right? Um, there's speculation as to why he's granted bail at all. Why? He's a monster. He's this, that, and the third. But from what I read, the young brother's an upstanding student who also had not one but 2 jobs, who's not a YN, who is not a gangbanger, who is not causing problems. There have also been, video footage, reportedly and allegedly showing him with a handgun in his hand at a point, whatever the case may be. But then there's also, footage and or a photo pic showing Austin Metcalf with a gun in his hands or whatever the case may be, right? We're gonna be fair. We're gonna be fair. We're not gonna allow in this show or any other show or any other person's, thoughts on it for them to paint a picture that just because, Carmelo Anthony unfortunately unalived Austin Metcalf that indeed makes him to be a monster. Things happen a lot of times in split seconds that can alter the course of a person's life or stop it therein. And unfortunately, first let me say RIP. Let me say RIP to Austin Metcalf, and prayers and condolences go out to the Metcalf family because it's not an easy thing to lose a child. It's a hard thing to lose a child. No matter what some people might think about Austin Metcalf, his brother, or whatever the case may be, pro or con. It's not a easy thing or a good thing to lose a child, especially if it's something that didn't need to happen. I also wanna give prayers of support and, encouragement to the Anthony family. Stick stick and stay in there, stay in the fight, stay in the fight. These upcoming months, maybe a year or 2, are gonna be traumatic, are gonna be trying. It's gonna play with your psyche, young Carmelo Anthony. You're gonna go through a lot of emotions. It's gonna take you to a place and a space because the uncertainty of whether you will come out victorious, come out on the losing side of things, and lose your freedom for a moment or for the rest of your life. How do you know, Big Phil? How you know? Why you talking about it like that? Like you know something? Talking about it because I was a young man, charged at 17, just like them. A lot of you all that are part of G&G have heard my story. I was charged for, murder one at 17 in 1990, about a month or so from now, actually. And I being someone charged with murder one, went from no bond status, the hell without bond, no possibility of bond, to by the grace of God, after a moment, getting released on personal recognizance. For those that don't know what personal recognizance means, under your promise of your own accord to return to court to fight said case. I was put on heightened supervision to whereas I had to be in the house every day I think it was 8:30 or something, and they did random calls and there were visits and things that I needed to do in the interim while the case was going on, I was supposed to go to trial 4 other times beyond the time that I actually went to trial on the case, and so I know what that feels like to be not fearful, but stressed out and worried. I'm not those that know me, I don't worry about much, but that case right there had me worried of not knowing what my tomorrow would be like, and I liken it to somebody playing Russian roulette with themselves or having somebody else, matter of fact, not necessarily Russian roulette, but somebody putting a hammer, a gun to your head, threatening to unalive you, pulling the trigger and nothing happens. The anticipation of the bullshiggery and then the that's what you go through mentally when you build yourself up that this might be the end of my life as I know it, to go into a trial, and then when they postpone it for whatever intents, reasons, or purposes, the little bit of sigh of release and relief in the moment, only to know that it's not over and it has to be pushed off to another date, and then off to another date, and off to another date. Long story short, by the grace of God and by the 12 individuals that on the jury that heard my case, I was acquitted December 28th, 1992. They be like, "Phil, you remember that date, huh? That date, huh? Damn Skippy." December 28th, 1992 lifted a weight off of my shoulders. So, the reason why I'm telling you about my situation is because I know what that young man is gonna be feeling and thinking mentally. I know what's about to happen to him and his family. A lot of so-called friends and buddies, even girlfriends or ex-girlfriends or good female friends are gonna turn away from him. Some family members gonna be whispering into the side. Some family members gonna be supportive. Some of the friends that you had at the time that always came around, or always wanted to kick it, always wanted to play, always wanted to do certain things are no longer gonna find themselves available for you, whether it be of their own doing or from their family members. You stay away from that young man. He's in a lot of trouble. No matter how innocent or guilty that man is, that boy is. Yeah, Keisha Hall, after my birthday that year, yep. There's gonna be a lot of emotions. When the trial does happen, there's gonna be a lot of animosity going on. In my situation, I ate lunch at the courthouse. Me and my mother was the only one that stood beside me in that situation. Me and my mother ate in the courthouse cafeteria. You had jury members because they were sequestered in different places and spaces in the cafeteria. You had the detectives and prosecutors in the same cafeteria. Very unreal, but very real and unsettling feeling. To feel like all eyes on me. Shout out to Tupac. To go from being one of the most popular children or kids or students in my school, got beat out by my friend actually, most popular, to being vilified because of accusations, allegations, and or the situation at hand. So, long story short, I definitely understand what young Carmelo Anthony is going through and gonna have to go through until his day in court for the said trial. This ain't about me, though. Did you and your family have to move like the Anthonys? Nah. Nah, nah. Not necessarily that we really could've, Keisha Hall, to be honest, at the time. However however, the argument out there is, was Carmelo Anthony in any imminent danger? Some say yes, some say no. Did he feel threatened or maybe his life was at risk or in danger? Some say yes, some say no. Some question why he was sitting where he was sitting. Some said he had every right to be sitting exactly where he was sitting. Some question why the hell did the Metcalf twins approach him in the first place? Some said that they had every right to approach him. I don't know the size comparisons. I do know that both Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf played football for their respective schools. Austin Metcalf being a linebacker. So I know he has a certain built to him or whatever the case may be. How tall he is, I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is 2 boys approached 1 boy. It just so happens that the one boy was black and the two other boys, the twins, were white, which is causing a controversy within itself along racial lines. The 2 boys approached him, Austin telling him he needed to move. I'm paraphrasing. Carmelo Anthony saying, "Make me move," or "Why should I move?" Whatever the case may be. Words exchanged, a fight starts. Carmelo allegedly goes into his bag and grab his blade, his knife, or whatever the case may be, and stabbed, Austin one time, from what they saying. We don't know the full evidence of the case yet. It just so happened to he got stabbed in the chest, and that was the undoing, unfortunately, of Austin Metcalf. That's a fact, simply they both families took a loss that day, sadly, one is permanent, that's a fact. That's a fact, it's a lot of speculation going on. Now, mind you, it has been noted and said that this young boy, Carmelo Anthony, was not a gang member, that he had not 1 but 2 jobs, that he was a studious young man that had good grades in his school, and also an athlete. They said captain of both, football and what was the other one? I think track? Maybe there was some uneasiness. Maybe there was some history between those 2 or 3. Maybe it was some history between them schools, or maybe there's just been some history in that county or in that area that made Carmelo Anthony feel like he needed to have something on him. Maybe he had the knife on him for some other purpose or reason, and just so happened that day he needed it or felt like he needed to use it. All these are speculation. Nobody knows, and hopefully the evidence will get to the bottom of it. Supposedly, there's video footage of this incident, from the argument, the fight, to the stabbing or whatever the case may be. Hopefully, it'll all come out. Hopefully, justice will prevail in the direction it needs to. Captain of his football and track team, that's a fact, with a 4.0 GPA. 4.0 GPA. That's not only studious, that's hella studious. Hey, Notorious. The problem isn't just in the case itself. It'll be leaked or released soon, probably so. The problem is not just in the case itself and the seriousness of the case itself. It's also in the fact of people's stances on it. There's a lot of people that sit on one side of the table, not everybody, but a lot of people that sit on one side of the table that don't like the fact that, Carmelo Anthony has received a bail at all. The bail was lowered to what it was, and that Carmelo Anthony is now home with his family. There's a lot of people on that side of the table who have called this man everything but a child of God, called him a monster, a horrendous individual, an evil creature, a lot of things except a 17-year-old boy. 17-year-old boy, which is what Carmelo Anthony is. Some would say 17 is at the age where he should know certain things and this, that, and the third, but you don't know the mindset of that young man. I don't know the mindset of that young man, just like I don't know the mindset of Austin Metcalf in his approach to the situation. I don't know if Austin Metcalf was a good or bad person, even though it's being reported that he was a pretty good kid too. I don't like the fact how they leaked a picture of the young man holding onto a gun, talking about Carmelo Anthony, and tried to paint the deceased as so good of a person that his life was far from violence and far from things, right? But then a photo surfaced of him holding a gun, right? Now, mind you, these are 2 youngins, they both shouldn't have guns in their hands, but they did. Whether the purpose or the reason was legitimate or not. And then I see that a lot of the heinous words and evil words from a lot of people that sit on that side of the table that have that feel a way about Carmelo Anthony, they forget about the rights, the liberties, and the courtesies that were afforded to none other than Kyle Rittenhouse. I've seen people say, "But he was at a riot. He attended a riot, so he needed to be armed to be prepared." He was armed with a gun that he shouldn't have had on his person because he wasn't legally old enough to hold the gun or possess the gun. And if I'm not mistaken, the gun he had was it was illegal at the time or whatever, what had been banned, I think. I could be wrong, but Kyle Rittenhouse showed up to a riot of his own accord, armed. They weren't questioning the people on that side of the table aren't questioning, "Well, why did he bring a gun to the situation? Oh, it was a riot. He should have definitely been armed." However, Kyle Rittenhouse unalived a couple people, not 1, but 2 people, I think 2 and some other people in this situation, and was treated almost like a folklore hero to some people on that side of the table. That side forgets that. They forget that, right? That man accused of murder. That man did unalive people. That man, they raised a whole lot of funds and donations for his defense and things. But now it's a problem in the Carmelo Anthony case because 1, unfortunately, how this young brother looks. 2, the color of his skin in some people's minds, not everybody. And 3, the victim of the situation was of an opposite race, unfortunately again. We're in 2025. We're in 2025, and we condemn people so very fast. We condemn people so fast, it's ridiculous. On the one hand, people on that side of the table would say a person like Kyle Rittenhouse had a right to stand their ground, a right to defend themselves, a right to take action. Second Amendment, but will turn around, and I have seen it in their tweets, in their posts, in their video reactions to say that this young boy had a right to stand his ground, to protect himself and or defend himself. How are we still in a world and place to whereas what's good for the goose is not good for the gander? Where what's good for you should be very well good for me, even though unaliving somebody is not no easy thing, or dealing with a loved one that's been unalive is not an easy thing, or the compassion of someone losing their life not being an easy thing. Not taking time to consider the activities that took place that caused the unaliving, the mindset possibilities of the person that unalived the person, all the things, right? Not considering none of that. Just immediately, "Oh, he's a monster. He needs to be in jail. He needs to be put under the jail," and all these things, right? But what if that was your child? And I'm speaking to the people on the other side of the table. What if that was your child that unalived somebody and not necessarily the majority of people, but a mass amount of people was calling for your loved one, your child, your baby to be done away with, to be held in court, that there should be some street justice, some old mob mentality, some old lynch mob mentality in the situation. And it's so unfortunate that these individuals, Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf, are of 2 different races. It's a sad situation because it brings out the ugliness in people. It brings out the ugliness in people instead of people viewing it and looking at it from both sides as if that was their child. From the side of Carmelo Anthony, who allegedly defended himself in unalived, Austin, and also from the side of the loss of Austin Metcalf. I think we get biased and propagandized and, taught and learned to disregard compassion, empathy, sympathy, human nature, and thrive off of rhetoric, thrive off of hate, thrive off of racism, thrive off of bigotry, off of bullshittery. And in this situation, in this case, I'm seeing a lot of that. A lot of that. Where a lot of people with insecurities when it come to, racial equality, with a lot of people with insecurities. Hey, so amazing, Tiff. Hey, I'm on YouTube. With a lot of insecurities about themselves, with a lot of hatred in their heart for people that don't look like them, would rather condemn this young man's life as opposed to finding out the truth, the what, the when, the where, and most importantly, the why it happened. And if Carmelo Anthony acted in malice or acted from an evil heart, they don't care about that. In their mind state, he has to be evil. He has to be guilty. He has to be a monster. Not looking at it from the perspective, if what if that was my baby? What if that was my son? What if that was my child? Would I want people to condemn him just on face value or the actuality of what happened as opposed to what happened prior to and why it happened? It's a very unfortunate situation, very unfortunate situation. You got one life that's lost and one life that's potentially held left dangling in the balance. Matter of fact, you got more lives affected than that because you got a twin brother, somebody that he looked alike, has to go on into this world without their other half that they're used to being around all their life. I know how that feels, and I've seen it happen to some friends of mine. R.I.P. Maurice Fisher. Salute to Michael Fisher. Miguel, I call him Miguel, and also Monica Fisher because they was actually they're actually triplets in the death of Mo. And I've seen what it's done and to them people, to their family, to Mike, to Monica. I've seen what it's done. So I get it. The loss is tremendous to the Metcalf family, especially to father and mother, even more especially to his twin brother. But in this situation, they happen to live in a state where if I'm wrong, my Texas supporters can correct me. They have a stand your ground law, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm not mistaken. There is a self-defense law on the books there in Texas, if I'm not mistaken. It's a very sad and unfortunate situation indeed that in 2025, the first thing we should wanna do is pray for both families. Secondly, we should be wanting to hear the evidence and find out the full details of what's going on. Because when it first hit the news, so much was said about Carmelo Anthony negatively that it was ridiculous. So much. Jug, WDHENT, what's goody like the mob? He said, no, stand your ground, but self-defense, they different. Connie said Texas has a self-defense law and right to defend itself. Texas is a true red state. Mm. Severlin said, "My nephew is in jail for unaliving a twin. The other twin snapped in court and tried to attack her nephew. He was arrested in court. It's rough for both families." Indeed so. Indeed so. And it's a tragic situation because these are teenagers. These aren't adults. These ain't grown individuals, even though some would say they were right at the cusp of about to be adults, whatever the case may be. It's a very sad, disheartening situation. But the even worse part of it is not the mindset of Carmelo Anthony. It is not whatever took place in the mind of Austin Metcalf and his brother in the situation that led up to the unaliving. It's in the heart of man. It's in people on that side of the table who applauded Kyle Rittenhouse, who purposely went to a riot or protest, who purposely came armed with a gun he should have never had in his hands, that he wasn't legally old enough to have or own, to my recollection, to my understanding, who went there with ill intent. Mm. The other case, I can't think of the young Bama's name that went into that black church and killed 9 individuals, I believe it was. And the police took him to get food, went to a fast food restaurant before they took him to jail to get him some food. Mm. The courtesy in it all, the humanity of it all, the 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 grace and mercy of it all, right? But because the color of the skin is different in this situation, oh, he's a monster. He's evil. He should be dealt with. Dylan Ruth, my man, thank you. Dylan Ruth, the situation with Dylan Ruth. People on that side of the table raise money for people like that. Dylan Ruth, Kyle Rittenhouse, Andrew Zimmerman, not Andrew Zimmerman, Zimmerman, whatever his first name is at Bama. Get mad because the Anthony family has raised the money for, their son's defense. Crazy. Crazy as I would like to say. I think we should feel sick to our stomach as adults that in 2025 we still gotta deal with the hideous evil of racism, the hideous evil of bigotry, that in 2025 we're still so much divided in this country when we should be so connected. That you got people out here threatening this young man's life and his family's life without even knowing the circumstances, all because the color of the Carmelo Anthony's skin is black, African American, and the skin of, Austin Metcalf is white or Caucasian. We supposed to be equal on this planet Earth. We supposed to be equal in this United States of America. We are supposed to be looked at as innocent until proven guilty. But for some, never mind the fact that that boy might have just been defending himself. And unfortunately, a life was lost in the situation. They don't care about that. They worried about why he had a knife on him in the first place. There might have been a good reason for having a knife. It might have been might not be no good reason at all. But nobody wants to really know the answer. They don't care to know the answer. They just know that he had a knife. Nobody knows whether or not Carmelo Anthony has been picked on or not. Nobody knows whether or not it's been reported to school staff or not. Nobody knows the mindset of Carmelo Anthony or what he's gone through. Nobody truly knows if there's been history between those schools or some other school that might have been at that meet or whatever it was. Nobody knows these things. Nobody even cares though. I ain't gonna say nobody, most people don't care. They just care about the fact that that boy, as some folks would like to say, unalive that young man, as some would like to say. Good morning, Creole Cupcake. If the role was reversed, it would be a different story. Below 1988, that's a fact. That's a fact. The judge is getting death threats for lowering his bail, and that's crazy. That's crazy. Sophia says, yes, Texas has a stand your ground law, though it's not explicitly named as such. Essentially, it means that individuals in Texas have no duty to retreat before using force to defend themselves. Interesting. Interesting. I'm gonna read that second part again. Essentially, it means that if individuals in Texas have no duty to retreat, meaning they don't have to fall back, they don't have to run, they don't have to cower down before using force to defend themselves. If they are in a place where they have a legal right to be, such as their home property. Mm, okay. Well, it sounds like he had a legal right to be at that meet that they were at. What are we to say about ourselves, America? No matter if you're African American, white American, Asian American, Native American, Latino American, or any other ethnic or racial group. What are we to say about ourselves that when we get so callous at track meet, whereas we don't give a damn about the particulars of a story, especially when it involves our youth. Same thing should apply if it's 2 grown individuals get into it and one gets unalived or whatever the case may be, but even more so because these are youngins, these are young adults, these are teenagers, 17 apiece. What is that to say to these hate groups and hatred groups and people that don't give a damn about the truth in the matter, the fact that somebody that looks like them was at the shit end of their stick, whether it was from just cause or a horrible act or from a wrongdoing. They don't care about that. So we have the threats to the Anthony family. They saying that the judge has been threatened. Let's see if the judicial system, let's see if law enforcement steps up and stands in the gap for that judge. Let's see if law enforcement and the judicial system stands in the gap for the Anthony family to protect them until justice be served, until Carmelo Anthony gets his day in court. Let's pray before God that the jury that's chosen to hear the case is of a sound mind and of a sound heart to be able to hear the case unbiasedly and make judgment accordingly. Let's pray that it's a balanced jury. Let's pray that either the current judge or the judge that they might put over this case during the time of the trial is of sound mind and of sound heart to be able to hear the arguments of both sides of the table, the defense and the prosecution, and to leave the court without bias for either or. without bias as to the color of the victim and or defendant. Let's hope and pray that some of the hearts of the men and women weighing in on this situation get dealt with grace and or understanding, considering what if that was their child on trial. Don't just consider what if that was my child that was unalive, but also consider what if that was my child that was on trial. How would you want them handled? How would you want them viewed? Would you want them to be afforded the right to be judged appropriately in the court of law? Would you like for all the evidence to be put out there and presented before people have condemned and or want to take action against your child? I don't care if you're white, black, brown, yellow, red, or Martian. Like the movie Time to Kill presented. Close your eyes and think about all these things that have taken place. Now imagine your child is at the end of that spectrum. How would you want that case to be viewed? How would you want it to be handled? How would you react? Sarah Lynn said, "This is America. We're not surprised at all." PA, Pennsylvania has the same law. If one feels their life is threatened, they have the right to use deadly force even if the other person doesn't have a weapon. It didn't help my nephew. Mm. It's why they need some time for this to cool down because it will be hard to find an impartial jury because of all the media attention. They'll definitely need a change of venue. Interesting. Hey, Crab Mate. Hey, I'm over on the good on YouTube. It does need to be a cool down because one, when people are unalive, there's heightened tensions in different ways and things, right? The fact that these are young adults, these teenagers, makes it even more so heightened. The fact that there's the racial component, and in 2025, we're definitely still dealing with a racial divide with amongst a lot of people, not everybody. There definitely needs to be a cooling. Hey, Jeremy, there definitely needs to be cooling of the minds, the heart of men. Because let's play devil's advocate. Suppose some group of people or family members or a person decides to act on their or his or her own accord and do something to Carmelo Anthony and or his family, only to find out later, possibly, allegedly, that Carmelo Anthony was the innocent person in it, that he was accosted and or attacked and or was felt real lawfully and legally felt that his life was in danger and acted in self-defense. Will that person have some kinda remorse or sadness at their actions later on? Well, hopefully, we don't have to get to that. Hopefully, we don't have to get to that, but we do live in a world today where there's a lot of mental illness along with sick individuals who feel and think a certain way. Jeremy says people are upset because the money he raised, which is almost 500,000, which used to buy a new house instead of legal defense and bail, like they said. It was said in the bail hearing that the reason why they weren't using the money for the bail was because they were going to have to move Jeremy because of the threats. You from Texas. You know both sides of that component. It's not cheap. You can buy a nice house for the low ski, but you still gotta move, and they said that they would use the monies for the house and or towards their legal defense. What's wrong with that, Jeremy? Imma put the link out in a minute. Imma put the link out in a minute. I invite you to come up and talk about it. My friend's son is on death row because he was accused of taking out a cop. The cops did the whole family dirty. Look up the Ramel Holt case. The whole family caught charges. Definitely a tragic situation. Definitely a tragic situation. Sarah Lynn said they lived in a nice home though. But if you got a if your house is being threatened, Sarah Lynn, and you have a way to get up out of the area or out of the way, these threats and people very much could possibly move on their sick thoughts and the things that they wanna do. Wouldn't you want your family secure? Wouldn't you wanna move your family if you could? Wouldn't you? Let me put this link out here. Let me put this link out here. As I put this link out here, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for everybody that's watching and tuned in from here, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and of course X, formerly known as Twitters. Do your do yourself a favor, do your boy a favor. Come on over here to YouTube. Hit the thumbs up for your boy. Boop, boop. Hit that subscribe button if you hadn't done so. Boop, boop. More importantly, hit that notification bell, something like this. So you be able to know whenever the Good Morning Gang morning show drops. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or whenever Feel the Love Fridays drop, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Or anything else that I put on this Big Phil Speaks channel, you be amongst the first to know, huh? That part. And even though today we're tackling a tough topic that some want to hear and some don't want to hear, there's some feel this way about it, others feel that way about it. It's a conversation that needs to be had. It's a conversation that needs to be had because unfortunately in 2025, we're still facing racial divide for a lot of things. Unfortunately, we're still facing uh, a battle between good and evil. I got you. Give me 1 second so I can add you to the scene before we converse. I got you. I see you. Do 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 do. Jeremy,
Hey, brother, how's it going? Can
hey,
you
how
hear
you
me
doing
okay?
this
I'm in my
morning?
car.
It's all good. You can hear me okay?
Yep, it's all good.
All right. Now you're a fellow Texan, right? Or former Texan, that is, right?
Yeah, I just moved. Yeah, I just
And
moved, so I
and and
understand the laws.
and I saw your response, which was the prosecutor's argument too, that they've accumulated enough money that they can put a substantial amount on a higher bond or bail or whatever the case may be. I don't know about Texas bail system, so I don't know if the 10% thing is afforded or a lower percentage is afforded on a bail of that magnitude. As some in some states they allow you to pay 10% on an actual bond or in some places 2%, 3%. So
Yeah,
I
it's 10% in Texas, but so the precedence in Texas is first degree murder, which is the charge, not
Mhm.
the. I don't think that's what he should be charged, but that's what they charged him with. Um, it is the precedence is a $1 million bond,
Got you.
and the judge lowered it to 250,000, which is against precedent. So some people are upset about that.
Mhm.
um, and they look to the judge at the history of the judge, and they're criticizing her.
Mhm.
But I mean that's the Texas law. The Texas law in self defense, the stand your ground law,
Mhm.
also says that you cannot be the provocador. And so by him saying, "Touch me and find out," um, and then punch me and find out, and then stabbed him, he had every obligation to leave the scene So, by the way, he was under
Okay.
the opposing team's tent, and it
Let,
was raining.
let me hold you right
And
there. Let me
yeah,
hold you right there.
yeah.
They're putting out what he said, but they're not putting out what Austin could have or his brother could have said in the instance that warranted or
Oh
solicited
no, I'm
the
talking about the
respect.
police report with the witness statements.
I get that. But
Yeah.
they only tell you, they're not telling you what either one of the twins or what they if they said anything. They're only saying what he said. So you don't know if they might have get up or I'm gonna do something to you. Not
No,
saying that
they
they
did.
did.
No, they told him get the fuck out my tent. They did.
Okay,
Yep.
hold on. Now I want to speak to the precedence of the bond lowering.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't know if you came in here earlier when I first started the show, right? And
I just came in. I was on Twitter 20 minutes ago.
you're
I'm
looking
going to
at it.
help my mom. I'm
You're
off
looking at
work today.
you're looking at an individual who at the age of 17, same age as Carmelo Anthony, who was charged
Right.
with murder one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went from no bond status to personal recognizance at a time in DC when DC was the murder capital,
Right.
which was unprecedented.
Yeah.
Unprecedented.
I heard that story. Yeah. I'm glad that you got through it.
So I
Yeah.
know
I was in.
I know the blessing of it. I know
Yeah.
the how can I put it? I know the unsurety of feeling like I'm never going home because I didn't even get a bond at first. I didn't even get the possibility of $1 million bond. I
Right.
had no bond. Um, to the lowering it, and I know what statements from community leaders, from school, from programs that I was in, and my lack of certain criminal history afforded into that process of them lowering it. So they're saying that this individual didn't have a criminal history. He had a 4.0 average,
We had a
captain,
3.8 with 2 jobs. He's a good kid. Yeah.
right. So in all intents and purposes, although unprecedented, I think that might have warranted the bail lowering. It wasn't like he went to the school and just shot up the boy or just went up to him and stabbed him or some a lot of these heinous acts that we've been hearing unfortunately about through these years or whatever of school incidents and just incidents in public or whatever the case may be. So some people will sit on both sides of the table with that or whatever the case may be, right? uh
I'm not set about the bond reduction at all. He's
mhm.
not a flight risk, and he had 2 jobs with a 3.8 GPA. I
Yeah.
have no problem with that personally. I'm just saying that precedence, which is the court, that's precedence is a huge thing. When you
Mhm.
go against precedence, it changed it for everybody. So now the next person could be a bad person and 19 or 20 years old and a gangbanger, and he says, well, he got his bond reduced, how come I can't get mine? That's the whole thing about precedents. That's it.
I
But
get that, but
personally, I've got no problem,
I
you
get
know.
that, but I would think
Yeah.
that the precedence only precedence would be set that other people whose background is similar, far as GPAs, 2 jobs.
And he's a minor. He
Wh-
can't leave the country because he's not a flight risk
no, I
because
get
he
that.
does.
I get
Yeah.
that part, but I mean that the good background, not necessarily somebody that has been proven a bad character or whatever the
But
case
then
may
that's a
be.
slippery slope. That's why they just set precedents, and
Yeah.
they can't say case by case because, well, I think,
Hmm.
because whoever and whatever, and they just make it easy. And they're like, here's the precedents, and it's been set that way forever. Or I don't know about forever, but a long time. As long as I've been 18 years, I've been in Texas.
So let me
So,
ask you this, right? Even
yes,
though
sir.
I'm light skinned, I'm an African American. You
Yes,
are
sir.
of Caucasian
I'm
slash
Italian and
Italian.
Lebanese, so I'm not white either.
Okay, all right, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, some depending on what part of Italy, some would beg to differ.
Sicily, South
Okay,
Italy. Yeah. Yeah.
Sicilian history kind of lends to. I don't know if you know the history of Sicilians, but that has a lot more color to it than no color, as opposed to
Oh
the
yeah, no,
mainland Italian.
100%. I
Right,
visited there. Yeah.
right. So, unfortunately, and you being an ex-Texan, no matter how you raise your family or not, or whatever the case may be, Texas, along with just like a lot of other states deals with, unfortunately, in 2025, still a racial divide in certain areas.
Well,
Not
no,
all, not all areas.
this in Dallas. Dallas is very diversified.
Some areas of Dallas, some areas,
Yeah, this is North Dallas. Yeah, North Dallas. Yeah.
some, but um, it's unfortunate because I don't know if you've been watching on Twitter, on X, and seeing some people's thoughts about it or whatever the case may be. But
I've been in many spaces talking about it actually yesterday. Yeah.
they've been condemning Carmelo Anthony to death, basically, without knowing any of all the facts. Not everybody. I ain't say
No.
everybody. I ain't
Oh,
say
okay. Yeah.
everybody. But there's been a
Yeah.
lot of people, and it's disheartening. It's sad because I've heard the monster, I've heard the evil, I heard the eyes or whatever, and
Yeah.
and I get it. Like, especially coming from, if it was coming from the Metcalf family and close friends, etc., that know the family. I get it.
Actually, he wants to give him grace. He
I
made
saw that. I saw the
yeah,
father.
his dad said leave him alone,
I
and
saw
yeah.
that,
Because in the reality, one family's life is ruined and
and
the
the
other
other one's in
family
the
lost a
balance.
son. So
Yeah.
it's just a tragic situation,
It
you
it
know.
it definitely is, and, um, from people's thoughts and feelings from videos about it as and tweets or whatever, it seemed like it's a semi-powder keg or whatever, right? Because you got that along with other aspects of racial equality
Well,
and
people don't
divide.
make it racial. That's the problem. This isn't a race thing.
I
It
that
was an
well
opposing
well,
team,
that's what
and
I
yeah,
that's how I look at it. It shouldn't be
yeah,
racial. It should be 2 boys from 2 different schools.
yeah.
However, for whatever reason, disagreed on where he was sitting, because there's some people say he wasn't sitting where he was supposed to be sitting. There's others say he had a right to be sitting there. So I don't
Well, it
know.
wasn't sending. So it was two teams had a tent. They each had their own tent. It started to rain, and he went in there. Now the question is, people are saying, was there history, between these people?
That's the big question. That's the
Yeah,
big question.
and there's a
I
whole
used
bunch
to
of
play
videos. So
football.
all the kids had their phones, and they were confiscated. So when discovery comes out, we'll know the truth.
Yeah,
We'll
because
know.
I played football in California,
Yeah,
and I know
yeah,
what it's like get into it with other teams on the field
yeah,
and off the
yeah.
field. Unfortunately,
Yeah, but we used to punch it out and kick each other's ass. We wouldn't bring a
facts,
knife or a gun to school.
facts,
That's the problem with today.
facts.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
people aren't built the same way to just knuckle up and take a ass whooping.
Yeah,
One,
I mean, I'm 50. We used to fight all the time, and but your bruises heal. He stabbed him in the heart, and it's just is a bad
unfortunately,
thing.
yeah. And
Well, I mean, that's what the
the
coroner's
thing is
report
saying,
said. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
and that is definitely an unfortunate situation.
yeah,
Um, Like I said earlier, I don't know if you were here. I said prayers for the Metcalf family and their
yeah. I
loss,
heard.
and
Yeah,
also
yeah, I agree.
prayers for the Anthony family, because I personally know what it's like to go through the process. I don't know how quick this case will go for Carmelo Anthony in Texas, and how fast it'll go to trial, or if it'll be pushed off. Pushed off. Seem like it might be pushed off to try to let people calm down a little bit before they.
It'll be within a year. They're not that backed up in Texas.
Because in my situation, it took about over 2 years or whatever, a little over 2 years
Yeah, in
before
New
I
York or
finally.
where?
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
for the person facing those things, whether they actually did it or not, it's a stressful, uber stressful situation, because I'm gonna tell you from personal experience, I went into it feeling like my life could very well be over as I know it at the
yeah,
hands of 12 jurors at the end of the situation.
yeah.
By the grace of God, and I didn't have a paid attorney at the time. I had the head of the public defender's office and his protege. So, a lot of people have had other types of stories, especially with dealing with public defenders. So God was definitely in my corner with the whole thing. Um, it's a very sad thing, in a very sad situation. And I likened it to the Kyle Rittenhouse situation, right? Some would say, he went to a protest, or he should have been armed or whatever, but he was a child who shouldn't have been holding that gun in that type of situation, because mentally, I don't think he was ready or prepared to
Yeah, I mean, you're
mature.
comparing apples to oranges. One, there was a whole riot going on, burning cities and everything.
It's
and
not
he actually
apples and
went there with
oranges.
his medic kit versus you shouldn't have a weapon on the school grounds.
He
That's
should,
Texas
but no,
policy.
no, 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 because this boy, Kyle Rittenhouse, was a boy too. He was under 18. He shouldn't have
I
been
know,
at
but
the,
no, I'm saying where he went. Where
but he
he
shouldn't have been
went,
there. He shouldn't have
it
been
was
there
allowed.
though.
You're allowed to have a gun in
Not at
public,
his
but
age. Not at his age.
yeah, no, you can. Yeah.
No, he was not allowed to have a gun at that age. What happened to Jeremy? Are you there? Maybe you got a phone call. Oh, there you go. You still there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Maybe he'll come back. Hopefully he'll hear me. No, he was not. He was he was under the age, the legal age to own a firearm, a assault rifle at that, not a shotgun. Because I think in some states they got a lower age for people that you can hear. Hold on, you can
I'm
hear me?
sorry. My phone rang, so I had to disconnect and
I
reconnect.
can dig it. No, he
Sorry.
was not. What I was saying is, no, he was not lawfully able to have that assault rifle anywhere because he was a underage child. He wasn't an adult. Now, if he was an adult, sure.
That's a pistol. A long gun, you could have a weapon, is underage if your parents buy it for you. Yeah,
Not
so
the
that's
state he
a
was
long
in.
gun. Oh, I don't know about that. I know
That
Texas
no,
law.
no, no, no.
I
Because
know any other
Cal
state.
wasn't in Texas, so I get it. There's different laws.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you're right.
no.
Yeah,
So one, he shouldn't have been there because of his age. Two, he shouldn't have been there with that gun. But that's not even the important part. It was the public reaction to him being there. There was a lot of embracing what took place with him with the unaliving of two individuals, and I think he injured a couple more people, whatever the case may be. I bring that to like a parallel. Of course, in this situation, there was no gun involved. There was a knife. But
right.
the thing that I'm saying is there was a lot more compassion from a certain side of the table for Cal's action, but some of the same mindset or same side of the table's thought process, unfortunately, in the preliminary thoughts and presenting of the Carmelo Anthony situation is a totally different how can I say thought process, but also a lack of the same grace or the lack of the
Right.
same
Understand.
compassion or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And that in 2025, I think is very sad that that's a thing or whatever. Now if Carmelo Anthony would have just acted out and did this, did a hang, just did went up and just stabbed somebody or just da 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 da, he gets afforded no compassion. He gets afforded no, yeah, his bond shouldn't be lowered. Da 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 da, because that's a different mindset. It's a different action, course of action, or whatever the case may be. Now we got to wait to, like you said, the footage come out. We have to wait and see what all has been said from both sides, and we got to wait to see how aggressive he really was or wasn't. We got to wait to see because unfortunately he got hit in the heart or whatever the case may be. Definitely in the chest, but maybe in the heart.
Yeah.
Was that intentional or was he just swinging the blade and it caught him there? It's
I think it was just swinging the blade. I think a lot's going to have to do with his dad, the grace his dad gives. His name's Andrew, right?
Mhm,
Andrew Anthony.
mhm.
Um, you know, his request to the judge in sentencing hopefully doesn't go to that. I'm hoping or think because he's a good kid, two great GPA and two jobs. I think it should be aggravated manslaughter, not first degree murder, and because I don't think it's premeditated. Um, they can maybe say second degree, but the reason not he the crime, and the reason they're going first
Manslaughter.
degree is because he literally said, touch me, find out, hit me, find out. And so that's the part that's going to be kind of iffy. But
Yeah, because
I
that
don't
could
think
be
he should be in jail forever and shouldn't get the death penalty. That's a crazy case, in my opinion.
because that's a
But
great point because it could either be deemed as aggression or it could be deemed as a warning or whatever. Want them to
well,
see
so
how you
the
look
stand
on it.
your ground, that's an antagonistic, threat. and so technically the whole stand your ground doctrine is out. He had the obligation to actually leave, and he had to
Somebody,
prove that his life was in imminent danger to use lethal force.
hold
And
on.
so,
Somebody,
yeah.
somebody from Texas earlier said, hold on. Where is it at? I'm gonna find it. They were basically saying that they have no duty to retreat. Basically, when
No, they
felt
actually do. If you actually read
when they feel
the
threatened.
doctrine for stand your ground,
Mhm.
it says that you can't be the aggressor. So he's quoting the stand your ground, but you
Well, they
cannot
said
be the antagonistic. That's
well, let
the
me ask you this,
caveat.
because they said that technically there is no stand your ground in Texas, but there's a law that's like a stand your ground, and that's where this
No, there
falls
is.
under.
No, we read the doctrine yesterday, subsection C, section 2. Yeah, we read the whole thing on live yesterday. It's no verbatim. You know, it says that you cannot be. So you know, there's different, and there's crazy laws like the knife law. An illegal knife in Texas is 5.5 inches, but regardless, at schools, no knives are allowed. So there's so many
Mm,
different
mm.
variables with this, but the stand your ground definitely says that if someone is the aggressor, you do not have to retreat. You can stand
Right,
your ground.
right.
But if you start it, and by him antagonizing, saying, put your hands on me, find out, basically, fuck around, find out, and then hit me after he put his hands on him and hit me and find out, he pulled out the knife, and so that
Well,
negates
let me ask you
that
this
defense.
question, right? As a
Yeah,
man
yeah,
who was once a boy,
yes, sir.
to have you to say one or all of those things, don't you think something either had to be said or done, that some verbal action, I mean not verbal action, but something verbally had to be said to warrant, if you put your hands on me, you're gonna find out. Something before that.
Yeah, but what he should have found out was an ass whooping, not pulling out a knife or a
I get
gun.
that.
That's my
I get
only
that.
thing.
I
Yeah.
get that. I get that. I get that. But then there were two there.
Yeah, but there was so actually the brother was trying to pull his brother away, so it wasn't two against one. The witnesses said that the one that's still alive tried to stop the altercation and separate them. That's why I
I
think
get
there was
that. I get
something
that.
that happened in the past, maybe a former track meet, or they didn't go to the
That's
same
the
school, so it
question.
wasn't every day. Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
that's the big question, because it was
yeah.
put at first, it was put out there like there was no reason for him to do it at all, and then it was put out there that at some point there might have been some bullying from one or more of the Metcalfs towards him. Then they're saying that that's been debunked. So we will not know the
Right.
reality of it, or if somebody else from that school and him had issues or whatever that might have put him on edge or guard or whatever, or if somebody, because I think that meet was more than just those two schools. I think I don't know if it was just a school versus school meet, or if it, because it said enter
Yeah, I don't
something
know. I just know that there were only two tents
at
at
the
the track
thing.
meet,
Okay.
but they were next to each other too, so it's not like they were 20 miles apart and they got caught in a torrential downpour. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to find out. But either way, the situation's sad on everyone's behalf, and
Was it a
but
football or a
I don't
track
think
meet? Was it a football or
track meet is a track meet. Yes, sir.
somebody put in the comments that the Metcalfs don't run track? Is that, have you heard of that? Because that would
No. I
significantly
mean,
change
they might
things
not
too.
run track, but they could do the shot put
Shot
or.
put. You're
Yeah, I
right.
do
Or
know that the
discus.
Metcalf brothers were about 4 inches taller and had some weight, and this kid was a lot shorter and like
Yeah.
130
Yeah,
pounds. So,
the one that passed, unfortunately, Austin, was a linebacker. So I figured he had a nice
oh
little
yeah,
size on him or whatever. And
yeah.
so they had to know. This is the thing, because some people are saying that they didn't know each other, had no
Oh, they
interactions.
compete. They
They had to
compete.
compete.
Yeah,
And usually
yeah,
on that
yeah.
level, you know a player when you see him a lot of
Hmm.
times, right? Because you've had
Right.
interactions. So just sitting here talking about it made me think about it. That debunks the they never had any interactions, whether it been good or just, on the field, or some words,
Yeah.
or issues or whatever what the case may be. It's
Right.
it's something else. It's really It's just a sad situation, and I would have this stance. I would have this same stance if the boy in question was white or Caucasian, and that pulled out the knife, and the assailants, or not assailants. Let me not say that. The victim
Yeah.
was black, or whatever the case may. I'd have the same thought process, because I think a lot of times we rush to judgment. Thank you, B Low. I appreciate that. Or Blow, I'm sorry. I think we rush to judgment a lot of times, and a lot of times our heart can cause our minds to play tricks on us and get us so riled up that we just especially with other components involved, where we should be so united in this day and age, we're still so much very divided, unfortunately. And that's the
I agree.
sad, disheartening thing for people like our children and their children, whatever. Hopefully they get it together, because we acting like asses out here with some of the mentalities that we, and when I say we, not necessarily me and you, but people
Yeah,
our
no, I get
age
it.
of different varying cultures, races, and ethnicities. Um, take to one another, as opposed to looking inside of the person, to the core of that man or that woman, to who they are, and judging them on those merits. Because they say you aren't the judge, you aren't the judge. True, we're not technically, because say judge unless you be judged, whatever. But we all are supposed to judge a tree by its fruit, not by the bark on the tree, not by the leaves growing on it, but the fruit that it bears. Meaning, I take that to mean the inside of a man or a woman. If you see somebody that's doing wrong or whatever, you got to judge them in a way like, oh, this person is a such and such, whether it be thief, a liar,
That's
killer.
how I look at people. My friends, my acquaintances. I
Right.
look at the inside. I don't care if you're a boy, girl, straight, gay,
Hmm.
white, black, Indian. I don't care what you are. Are you a good person? That's it. That's all I care about. Now, I will say that under false pretenses, they raised almost a $500,000 for bail and for attorney's fees,
Thank
and
you.
they bought a new house. They
I'm,
bought a new house,
what they
and
told the
and there
judge
were no
that they told the judge
there
that.
were no. I understand they did, but it's just like, so just like Black Lives Matter, they raised $90 million and bought all those $10 million mansions for their family, and nothing
uh,
went to the family. Well, I'm just saying that's why people are upset. But
but
that look, that's every
that's
nonprofit,
definitely apples and
every
oranges.
nonprofit.
Because
Well,
those girls that did that in Black Lives Matters
yeah,
absconded, or not they took the money and did what they wanted to do with it. They're definitely wrong for that. They didn't
yeah,
they didn't foremention that, yeah, we're going to take proceeds from this and go buy these properties. Whereas the father
yeah.
in court says, listen, I've already received threats in their neighborhood and to their home and this, that, and the third, and he has to move his family. So some people may look at it like, okay, that money should have only been used for such and such, but at least he was open and honest to say, I need to get out of my place
Well,
for the safety of
well,
my wife and children.
law enforcement would have protected the
Man,
family of their house for free.
man.
No,
I'm
it's called a Signal 13. They'll actually put a deputy on a high profile case like this in Texas. They'll post a deputy in a unit outside the car 24/7.
I get that, and I'm
Yeah,
52. I'll be 53. Hold on. Was it? Yeah, I'll be 53, and he's had to think about it.
yeah,
I
I'm
know for
50.
a
Yeah,
fact, it just because they post a police officer, especially in a state that's heavily that people are armed, depending on the mindset of that police officer, that might not even want to be there in the first place to watch the house,
no,
could
it's
determine.
Texas. We look after our own. I mean, we wouldn't let shit go down. I'm former law enforcement, and their neighbors probably are heavily armed too. And I mean, we protect each other's properties in
So if
Texas.
you
But
saying if a group of people heavily armed pull up on this one officer, he gonna play Olympus is falling, or one of these, he gonna play a superhero, and he gonna
well,
stand in the gap for this
that's
family.
not so there were no group threats, and that's not going to happen. And I would actually go personally protect that family
You know what's
because that's
funny?
some bullshit.
You know what's funny? Because somebody in the comments before you cammed up, when you were camming up, said, ask him to go. Why don't he go and his group go protect?
Well, I don't have a group, but I'll do
I
it
get what you're saying.
myself. I
I get what
mean,
you're saying.
yeah, because
But
I'm not scared. I mean, I don't think his life is in danger. And plus, the chatter, there was no chatter of let's go, lynch this family and whatever.
I,
So I don't think
I,
as a group of anything, I mean, law enforcement, the technology today is insane. And
that's
so
true.
there was,
That's true. But
yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen some tweets and things from a couple people that looked unhinged. That
Well,
that
yeah, stupid people, but those are keyboard Nazis. That I mean, look at me on Twitter. I use my name and I'm ID verified. I don't care. Whatever I say, I'm accountable for. But there's so many people with these names like Luke 713, and they have a picture of a goat. It's like, well, they're just because if you don't use your name and your real face, I think you're I don't know if I can the P word. I don't know if you can say it on YouTube
yeah,
once
please
you get
don't.
you in
Please
trouble.
don't.
Yeah, but I mean, you just yeah, I don't know the rules, but I'll try to keep it PG.
Thank you.
Um,
I appreciate
you
that.
know, yeah. So I just people are they talk a lot behind a keyboard because there's anonymity. They think they can get away with saying whatever they want, but face to face, you know, they wouldn't even bow up. That's why that's a problem in today's society. There's no accountability. So you know who I am, and I can't afford to get out there and say stupid things because I have a lot to lose.
Got
But
you.
I don't agree with the many of the things going on. I hope this kid does not get first degree murder. I stand by that. If he didn't have the GPA and two jobs, I'd say, well, fuck around. Oh, yeah, that word and find out. FFO. But he seems like a pretty good kid,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, so
And
we'll
that's what I'm
see.
saying, 'cause a lot of people will kind of paint the image that he was one kind of individual till some more intel or more information came out about allegedly his background and what he is or what he isn't when it um comes
Kids are
to
stupid, man. My son, no tickets, no nothing, and on social media, he's got a Glock, and he's on the hood of his Mustang, holding his Glock down, and uh, threw a stack of $100 bills all over the hood like some gangster kid. And I'm like, Ian, that picture's gonna be out there forever, and nobody knows you, and they don't understand you're a good kid and you go to church every Sunday and you're saved, and but you look like a thug and you're in the military. I'm like, you can't post that crap on the internet. You cannot. I'm like, you want to look cool, but now anybody sees that. If something were to happen, they're gonna say, "Oh, look at that thug kid." And I'm like, kids are stupid until your frontal lobes develop until the age of 26, I think is what it is. They did say 30, but I think it's 26.
Mhm.
Kids are stupid. Kids are stupid, and they do stupid things, and it's sad. But I I do
Definitely.
I do I do commend the father for asking grace because I don't know if I can do the same. I know as
Yeah.
a Christian I'm supposed to, but if my son
But
were killed,
the
man,
human the
that's hard.
flaws in us all, because like the word says, "When I would do good, evil is with me," or whatever. We all
Amen.
have the propensity to be on either side of that coin, depending on what's presented, and when it comes to your loved ones, especially your babies, that
Yeah.
that alone will make you go off the hinges, or you know crash out, or whatever the case may be. So we definitely gonna be watching this story, and actually seeing where it goes, or whatever the case may be. Somebody else sent me something about some other mass shooting that just happened, I think in Texas too, more recently. I'll talk about that probably on another show or whatever, because it ain't enough time to really look into it and really dive into it or whatever. But
Yeah.
I thank you, Jeremy. You're welcome here anytime. Come on up here. We'll agree sometimes, we'll disagree sometimes, but you at home here.
That's what we do. Yeah,
Exactly.
brother.
That's it.
Yeah.
And just the dialogue and the conversation is what's needed along a bunch of different lines. Because some people are afraid to have conversations and talks with people that don't necessarily share all of the same values, or some
Yeah.
or all. And we gotta stop that. We gotta start listening. Whether we agree or not, we can learn something about the individual that we're talking to, and either gain something, or take a heed of it. Like, oh, I see how they think. Or
Yeah.
you know what? what he or she said made some sense.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
take that and apply that to my thinking or whatever. So I appreciate you for coming up, whereas other people might have wanted to come up and were afraid to do so. I appreciate you for stepping up and coming up
I
with
do want to say one thing.
sure.
So people need to understand that the government is trying to divide us. They've been doing this since Julius Caesar. They called it bread and circuses. And Julius Caesar said, if you feed them and entertain them, they will never revolt against me. Well, the government is putting white versus black,
Mhm.
man versus woman, gay versus straight, Jew versus Gentile, because if we all come together as the people, we will defeat the tyrannical government that's got their damn foot on our neck. And so I want to bring that divide and get rid of it. And the only way to do that is to have a conversation. And luckily, people like you are well spoken and logical and willing to have the tough conversation. So I appreciate what you do.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. I'm gonna bring you down now. I appreciate you, my brother.
Okay,
Stay tapped in, tuned in. This is Big Phil
I
Speaks.
will.
This is the Good Morning Gang Morning Show. And every day won't be on these heavy of topics, but it'll all be something, always be something, whether it be a laugh or cry, or something that people can garner knowledge, wisdom, something to be garnered or to soak up for the Good Morning Gang Morning Show. So make sure you come back and tell a friend to tell a friend.
I will. Have a blessed day.
You too, my brother. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
That was Jeremy, ladies and gentlemen. Some of y'all know him from the Twitter streets, the X streets, or whatever the case may be. Some of y'all will agree with some of the things he says. Some of y'all will not agree with some of the things he said. At least he was a man enough to come up and speak his piece, or whatever the case may be. For those that I missed in the conversation, acknowledging your presence, don't charge it to me foregoing or not paying attention to you being here, but the seriousness in nature of the conversation garnered the attention to kind of pay attention more so to the conversation and not necessarily to the acknowledgement of being here as I normally do or whatever. So please bear with that or whatever the case may be. Again, this is I can dig it, Charlie. Also, this is a very very touchy and tough situation that directly will affect two families. Indirectly will, but closer to the families, affect the community and communities surrounding the situation, and even more indirectly affect the state, which will even more indirectly affect us all in the United States or whatever the case may be, because of race relations, because of the divide that he spoke on in the end. And that there is some validity and truth to what he said about the divide, but I take it that it has been written and foretold that things like this would be, or whatever the case may be. Um, I pray that the right thing prevails in this situation. I agree with Jeremy. I think that first degree murder charge will come off the table, because it wasn't that. It definitely wasn't that. There has to be premeditation. There has to be a calculated effort in what happened for it to stay first degree or whatever. I don't think it's second degree. I think it's manslaughter or reckless homicide. I don't know if they have a reckless homicide charge, excuse me, in Texas or whatever. But either manslaughter, voluntary, involuntary, or reckless homicide or whatever. Um, Thank you, Blow. I appreciate that. This is not your run of the mill show. Every now and again, I will tap into a topic or to a situation and really delve in a little bit more than average or whatever the case may be, as I feel like it's needed. And I think this is one of those things that are needed. Um, we're in a age and time where there's a lot of uncertainty. Hell, the president of our country is talking about sending prisoners from this country to a whole nother country to do their time, to a country whose jails are notorious for things that happen at those jails. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. Just imagine that. How American is that? Like the title said, this is America. Or is it? It's a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lot of things that we need to stay prayerful about, that we need to stay knowledgeable on, that we have to stay vigilant and do our due diligence on. It's a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen. Ain't no need to sit there worrying and biting your nails down to your skin and sitting there pulling your hair out and gritting your teeth, worrying. Start to seek solutions for you and yours and your family. Again, we need to come together as a community. We all got our differences. We all got our bullshittery. We all got our differences in things, quirks, vices, flaws. But at some point, we got to look past certain things and learn that greater we are united than we are divided and bickering over bullshit. We have to understand that we live the same, we breathe the same, we bleed the same, and we die the same. Yeah, there's variations of how we die, so don't get it twisted. But the point that we leave this earth or leave this physical realm, this, we got to ask ourselves what's more important, what's most important for the betterment of us as people, as community, as families. There's so much division, so much. And the effed up part about it all is in this situation, these aren't two grown men that got into it, and one of them unfortunately got unalive. These are two adolescents, two teenagers, two boys, and from all intents and purposes, both seem like decent boys or good boys to a certain point. Not saying that they didn't have their own flaws or issues. I know they were saying it was a picture of one of the Metcalf twins seemingly throwing up gang signs, seemingly, right? I don't know that to be sure or to be certain, but I do know that these were both teenagers, two teenage boys that for whatever reason came across each other's paths on this day, and the actions and reactions of one side or the other side or both sides calls for an unfortunate event that will forever affect both families. Because even if Carmelo Anthony gets acquitted, he still will be affected by everything that has been taking place, from the media coverage to people's thoughts of him, to the process, him being locked up for however long he was locked up for, and the process of going from now until his trial. It's a very unfortunate situation, ladies and gentlemen. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Just stay prayed up. That's all I'm going to say about that, huh? That's all I'm going to say about that. Encourage inclusion where necessary in your community, amongst your neighbors and your family. Now, know that everybody ain't meant to go where we need to go. Everybody's not meant to be where we need to be. But for those that are, embrace them. For those that should be connected to you, make that connection and keep it. That's it right there, Charlie Hustle. May God cover both families. May God cover both families. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a long-winded, informative, hopefully, touchy topic. that hopefully you all have gleaned something out of. Hopefully you take something away and have these conversations in your home, at the coffee shops and lounges and bars, etc., and talk to people about them. Don't be afraid of people with opposing views either, but have the conversations. We need to have more conversations, huh? Hey, Miss Abel, tell Bella, I said, hey, good morning to ye. Good morning to ye. No matter if I miss a day from doing the show or not, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, each and every one of y'all that tune in, tap in with me, because y'all could be anywhere or sleeping at work, BSing on another live or whatever. And the fact that y'all tap in and tune in with your boy means the world to me, whether you believe it or not. And I ask for patience as well in me, in my actions, in verbally or whatever the case may be, because I'm not always right. I don't always get it right. I'm a human. I'm flawed too. But get to know my heart. Get to know my heart and know what Big Phil is really about. You feel me? Get to know my heart. And if just because you don't like something I say or do, don't make it so detrimental or long lasting or permanent when it's something frivolous. And vice versa. I need to hold the same. I need to garner the same thought process in my actions and thoughts of people. But get to know me. Oh, thank you, Connie. I appreciate that. Know that there's some great things coming for GMG. We want to know your heart, but you keep falling over your baggy pants. You tried it. You tried it. But just know, your boy's here, GMG forever. Catch me over here. Catch me on the FDN. Catch me wherever I'm at. Just know that I'm putting on. You know what I'm talking about? And that some greater things are coming. Greater is coming. You hear me? On that note, ladies and gentlemen, y'all know what I like to say, smile, because you never know what it might do for somebody, including yourself. More importantly, love on somebody on purpose, with purpose. And last but not least, I'm not anti-you, but I'm pro-me, but with the emphasis on building we. Let that marinate in your melon. Till the next time we could chop it up and have a tay-to-tay. Until that day, baby. Y'all know what I like to say. I holla.
We're one big happy family. We're GMG. One big happy family. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you come back again. Tell a friend, tell a friend. It's GMG and Big Phil speech.
The people that's supposed to be with GMB are with GMB. How about that one? Yerp, I'm out.